Today I want to talk about giving. It's not an interesting subject, I know, but it's important in life. I was going through quite a lot of different writing about giving, like offering and tithing. There's so many different views. The way I wrote it might be a bit different. That was what I have in my heart and the way I think God speaks to me in a bit different way. So, about God, we all I enjoyed about His blessing, the grace, His faithfulness, everything I enjoyed. Wow, it's so awesome. But when it comes to responsibility, it's a bit different. It's a bit weight is put on us. So it's said that everybody enjoyed talking about the faithfulness of God, the goodness of God, but when we have to talk about our responsibility as Christians, it's, we have a very different kind of thinking. So today I want to talk about, can you put it up there, stay on the PowerPoint, on the desktop, that is giving. Giving. A church begins with God giving His only begotten Son. That was what I was just having in my mind while I was preparing. And for God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whoever believes in Him shall not perish but have everlasting life. God begins with giving. As a human, we love receiving. When are they going to raise my salary? That kind of, when I'm going to get a promotion. That is sometimes we like to get it in our life. So, when we talked about giving, I was just trying to see from the Bible how is giving, laid down. It is not a law. Giving has never become a law that you should give. It's always, a kind of a willingness from the other side that, like tithing, say, tithe is out of the income, that out of the money or any kind of thing which they make, it's 10% is given to God. I didn't see in the law, like there is 616 law altogether. It doesn't mention that. It's a free will, I should say, it's a choice that a person has to make to give it. So, giving is important in a church or in a Christian life. And, even though it's a vital thing in the church, it's not as a kind of become a rules or a law that a person has to do it. If they doesn't do it, then you have to face some consequences. It doesn't go like that. So oops, doesn't work. Can you click? Next. Anyone content? Giving. So is that working? Oh. So it is, we can ask a question to me that what is giving to me? Like giving a tithe or giving an offering. How am I? What it is to me? Or do we feel pressure to give to church? About giving and offering and tithes, I find it a bit difficult to talk about it in the church. It's not my comfort area to talk about it. And but this is one thing which, as a church, is very important. Some church focus too much on giving. Sometimes a church doesn't talk about it all. But in between that, we need to talk about giving, and we need to, think about giving. What is giving to us? And when we talked about grace, if I talked about grace, do I deserve to receive grace from God? I would say no. I didn't deserve to be loved, to be forgiven. I didn't deserve at all. So that's a free gift from God, I should say. In order to get something from someone, at least I need to do something. I need to be something. But here, in God's love, we don't have to do. There is nothing on my side that I have to be to receive His grace. So it's a free gift. And on the other side, when we see that did God demand anything from us? Not at all. God didn't say that, if you receive grace, you have to give this to me. There is no fast and hard rules that we should give back to God. Giving is a free will. Even like I said, I didn't see tithes as a law in the Old Testament as well. And even though it is not a law, but we could see there is in many places in the Bible that we could refer to tithing, giving, and helping people. So can you go to next? Giving is an act of worship. Worship can be we can see in a different way. Giving shows our feelings and expressions and reverence and adoration to God. This is a kind of a gift that we could see. In 2 Corinthians chapter 2 verse 9 it says, "So let each one give as he purpose in his heart, not grudgingly or of necessity, for God loves a cheerful giver." Giving can be a kind of, a person says, I need to give. Even though not willingly a person can give. That is not a kind of, God is looking at us. God loves a cheerful giver. See, sometimes, I was just thinking, the money that we made, the salary that we got and everything, I thought that it all belongs to me, but it is God who gave me. It is God who gave me the ability to work, ability to make money. I was just thinking the other day that the kind of a job that I am having now, the person that I am having, is someone's dream. You might not be satisfied with who you are, with the kind of money that you make. Or you might think that, I'm not working, I'm just in the house and taking care of the family. But that can also be someone's dream. And, when we came down here, I met a family and said, your life here in UK is someone's dream from the third world country. Just to have a running water in a house is someone's dream. When we looked at the blessings that we receive from God, it is easy to give. It is easy to give of all the blessings that we receive from God. You know, giving is not a matter of how much money that I'm giving. It's a matter of the heart. In Luke chapter 21, verse 1 to 4, we see a rich man and a widow giving. You know, a widow could only give two pennies, when a rich man was pouring down his bag and he was making a lot of sound. But Jesus was not impressed with the big amount of giving, with the pride. Oh, see how much I'm giving. No, that widow, even though she doesn't have much money to give, but Jesus was impressed with that. It's not about whether we have money, you know, like 100 or 1,000 pounds, but even if we just give 50p for God, out of heart, I think God will be pleased with that. When we worship, we praise and thank God for His goodness, faithfulness. You know, the wise man, when Jesus was born, the wise man, they came and visited Jesus and they brought gifts. And, you know, that is out of their heart, that they want to give it to God. What will a child, a 2 or 3 weeks child will know about gold? Might not know anything different about the gold and the silver. It's out of their heart that they gave it out. And I would just keep thinking that, oh, what have they done with the gift which the wise men brought in? It is not in the Bible, it's just my assumption. I think that they might have used those gifts to flee to Egypt for some money on the way to buy some things which they need. So, you know, our gift is an act of worship. We give gifts to the people we love and appreciate. You know, when someone's birthday or some anniversary or anything is there, so we buy some gift, and in one way we give out a kind of a voucher. That's a kind of appreciation that we give it to people. And you know, one thing I was thinking about giving is like it is very easy to give it to people than to God. You know, so whenever we give, let's give it to God. Even though we might be giving to a person, let it be through God. So, you know, because when we give to people, I sometimes, you know, it is me, I should say, you know, it reminds me of when I was a small child. My mother will have a bunch of vegetables and she wanted to give to our neighbors. I love giving out to people. And when they say, oh, thank you, you're such a cute, lovely boy, and I enjoy. But when they didn't appreciate it, I said, I'm not going back to give them. You go and give them. You know, because when we give it to people, if they didn't appreciate the way we expect them to appreciate, it put us down. But when we give it through God, it is God who sees our good work. The person might not know our heart and the intention, and might not appreciate what we are doing. But if it is from God, you know, we don't have to have that kind of expectation from the person whom you are doing something. It is between you and God, me and God. So, oops, stuck again, Paul. Okay, giving is a support to God's word. By giving, we become a co-worker with God. Do God need our help? I don't think so. But He wants us to be a kind of a co-worker with Him. It's such a great privilege, I should say. For example, like if a great man, which we really appreciate, I don't know who it might be a man and a woman whom we really appreciate, who is a very high figure person, and said, James, I need your help. I said, what can I do for you? You know, we might be willing to help a person who has a great reputation, or for teenagers, like, you know, if they are a kind of a famous people, if they say that, oh, can you help me do this thing? Then we might be willing. My girl Rima, this Mary and Miran, they love BTS. If those BTS people say, oh, Mary, Miran, Rima, can you do this thing for us? They might put it down in their journals and, oh, you know, they'll really appreciate. It is God, the creator of this universe, want to be part of what He is doing. He wants us to be His co-worker. He can do without us, but by involving us, you know, we can be part of God's project, God's plan. So, in Malachi chapter 3, verse 10, say, bring all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be food in my house. The God who can multiply few loaves of bread and fishes and feed the 5,000, He can bring food to His house if He wanted. It doesn't really need me, but He wants us to be part of His plan. And say, bring your tithe into the storehouse. Here, my house can be related as a church and a kind of, you know, some ministry that involve God. And a food can also be related, not just bread and butter or curry. You know, it can also be a spiritual food, a kind of a support that we give it out to people who need mentally, a person who needs our support, you know, a person who is so lonely and who doesn't have much friend. So to that, as a church, we can function and, you know, speak about God to people's life. To run a church in one way or the other, it involves finance. So working together as a church, we can build kingdom in the area where God locates us. So, you know, God can do, giving is a support to God's work. Like He said, that is the best way we all could fit it in and be a co-worker with God. In a church, like Claire, Margaret, and Sarah, they're very good in singing. We can't do that. Yeah, and Rebecca, yeah. We can't do that. There are some people who are good in talking, who are speaking. Might be someone who's good with teaching with the kids. And sometimes we may be thinking, oh, I can't do anything. I don't have any role in the church. But giving, we can be a part of the church by giving. You know, it doesn't have to be a big amount or small amount. It's a matter of heart. In one way, you know, I see that there are a lot of people who are very generous to help out. Even in New Life Fellowship, we could see that there are people who are so willing to help people out. That is the church coming together. And, you know, it doesn't mean that a leader is who comes out here on the platform and talk and lead the worship or talks about it. We all are in that area, in our area, and, you know, if someone just sit, if you just sit with someone who comes here over food and you chat with her or whoever, that's a kind of, leading people to Christ. We are not leading church, we are leading people to Christ. And we all are co-workers. Giving can also be giving our time to God. It's not just only about money, give our time and what is precious to us. So, can you go to next poll? Giving is spiritual. You might be thinking, oh, how can that be? Spirituality is also about who controls over our life, what is in our mind. If we say, oh, he's really a spiritual person, you might be saying that, oh, that person always talk about God. Am I right? If we keep talking about money all the time, I don't think that we will really be able to be a spiritual filled person. If God is not the priority in our life, we can never give. Giving to God is not about how much money do you have. It's the matter of God. It's the matter that who God is to you. It's, the first time when I do my tithing, I find it very hard to do it. In India, when I was in a college, I used to work like in a part-time, in a construction work. I earn about 30p a day at the time. 30p a day. So it's longer than that. So at the end of the week, I used to get about 100 and between 150 and 200. So if you have to take it out, 10, the tithe out of that, I said, oh, I'm going to have only this much. If I have to take out 10 from 100, I'm going to have only 100, only 90 now. But I was just thinking, I still have the 90. I give thanks because God gave me the ability to work, give me the strength to do it. And in India, there's so many people and very less job. It's very difficult to get into job, to get money. So I said, oh, there are a lot of people who want to do what I'm doing. If God doesn't give me this favor to get this job, there are 10, 20 people who are ready to take my job. So I say, oh, this is a kind of a thanksgiving to God. Oh, God is important to me. By giving it out, we show that God is important to our life. So, the Bible is clear that financial giving is important to God. Yet for not reasons that some might think a bit different. God doesn't need our money. Rather, He wants our heart, and how we use our finance reflects the priority of our life. The way we spend our money reflects who God is in our life. Jesus in Matthew chapter 6 verse 21 says that, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Yeah, I think this is very true. I used to have a kind of a piggy bank when I was small. If there is some money, I will always think about that. I will hide it somewhere where my other brothers and sisters will not find it. And sometimes I will put it under the bed in the corner. But if it's empty, I don't care. I can put it anywhere. That is a kind of sometimes the treasure, even though it's not a big one, but it can really, take our focus and our mind. So, what do we do with our money to a great degree is an indicator of whether we love God or this world. The way we use our money shows that whether we love God or we love this world. Jesus says, no one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the other one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. That is Matthew chapter 6, verse 24. To serve money is so easy. To fall into that line is very important, very easy, because money can do many things. And but here the Bible clearly says that you cannot serve two. And in James it says that the love of money is the root of all what? Evil. We can't live without money. I know that I need money. By the end of the money, when my bank is drained out, I said, oh, I wish it's a new month coming soon. I know we need money. We can't do without money. But money should not control our life. We should control money. That is what we have to do. If money started to control our life, you will see all relationship in terms of money. Do I benefit from this person? How much money that I'm making from this person? We can be really a money-minded rather than God-fearing person. So, like I said, it is not easy to give. It is hard to give, but it is very important to give. We can only give when we put God higher than money in our life. If not, we cannot give even just a pound. You can't give it away. You can say, oh, with a pound I can buy this one. So, but if God is more important than money in our life, no matter how much amount it is, you can give it out. So it is good to see that how spiritual we are. It's good. The way we handle money reflects our spirituality. So, can we go to next? I love this one. Giving is trusting God. I don't know from when I brought up all this point. It just came out. Money can make people spiritually blind and give them false confidence. Sometimes when I have quite a good amount of money, I quite have some confidence. I have some money. I don't know what about you. How will you feel if you leave your mobile, your wallet, your purse at house and walk out? How confident will you be? If I have my wallet, if I go out, if I forget my wallet, and if I still have my phone, there's a kind of a payment you can do it. I say, oh, I still have my phone. I still have my phone, I'll be okay. Money has such a big impact in our life, which we didn't really, noticed it? I think I trust money more than God sometimes. If I have money, I say, oh, now I'm a bit relaxed, I'm a bit, comfort. And I think that's kind of false confidence that we can build in our life. Money cannot buy everything for us. So, since money can do many things, it's very, very easy to rely on money than God. Few years ago, before I came here, when I was working in India, in the, among the Dalits, I should say, the poor people in the village, I went to a far place for attending a meeting. I think it might be at least about 2,000 kilometers away from the place where I work, and it's near Jim's place, it's Churatanpur, so far. I went there, and Margaret told me that when you come back, you buy the mosquito nets, if you are familiar with that, if you go to India and any nation, you need mosquito nets to keep you away from mosquito biting you. That is what we need. And she said, you have to buy a good one, which will cost, about 800 rupees. So I kept it aside. I can't return home without buying that one. It's a big order coming out from, So the preacher on the day was sending Bibles to Bhutan. Bhutan is a Buddhist-dominated country. So at the end of the meeting, he said, now I'm going to collect offering for the Bibles for Bhutan. If there is anyone who wants to give it, the offering bag will come around and you can give it. At the time, I have 1,500 rupees in my wallet. And that's the exact amount of money which I need to return back. I will be paying 800 rupees for the mosquito nets, and the rest is how much?
250.
How much?
250.
Out of 1,500? Yeah.
Oh, 1,700.
700. So that will cover my food, my taxi, and all those to reach home. So I might not have even extra money, about 50 rupees. It's all planned. I didn't have any extra money. When the offering bag was passing by, God spoke to me, said, put 500 there. What? 500? I didn't have a budget for that. If I put out 500, I don't know how I'm going to get back, or I don't know how I'm going to buy that mosquito net. I was just thinking, God, do you really mean it? And when God said something, He will never move. He will stay there. So I was just standing there. By the time the offering bag has passed me, I said, oh, what a relief. It passed me. And the preacher, before he closed the meeting, and before that, I feel quite a kind of a relief. I should say, oh, now the offering bag has passed me and I have my money, like that kind of. But that preacher once again said that I want to open that offering one more time. There might be a person who wants to give but miss the bag, so someone will be on the door with the offering bag. I said, oh, come on, God, it's enough. And I have to give now. I can't just, So I just took out the 500 rupees note and I put my hand, and the person who was holding was looking at my eyes, and I was there for a while. I didn't just put it straight there, it's a bit. And when I was walking up the place where I was staying, I was just thinking, now what am I going to do? How am I going to get that money which I need for traveling back and to get that mosquito net? I was quite disturbed, I should say. What am I going to do? And because the trust which I have with money was already gone. I didn't have it with me. So I was sitting in my room, and at that time there was a knock in my door, and a friend from America was there and said, "Oh, James, can you just come over and we want to pray with you?" And I said, "Okay." So I went there, we had a quiet chat, and then we prayed. We prayed, and by the time when I leave, they said, "Oh, we want to give you this thing, there's an envelope there." I went and I opened, it's $200. It's $200 in India will be, at that time, will be about 8,000 rupees. I find it so difficult to give 500 rupees to God, but for God to give me 8,000 rupees was so easy. But the trust that I was having on the money was not the right way of trusting. I should have trust God. If God asks me to give something, He will take care of my needs. So we can have a false kind of confidence in money. Money cannot do everything for us. So we fail to see that money does not last for long. It doesn't last long. The money that you may have now may not be next year. So, but God will last for long. So, yeah, to conclude, tithing, giving, and giving offerings should come out of love of God and as an act of worship, and not because we are asked to do it. It should become from our heart. Like Timothy, 1 Timothy chapter 6:10 says that the love of money is the root of all evil. In one way, if we give it out to God, like tithes and giving out, I feel like I am releasing myself from that kind of thing. Yeah, just to release from the love of money, no matter how much money, It is one way, I think, like giving and tithing is more spiritual than I think. It is like giving away, it's releasing yourself. If you're too pressured, like Claire was saying, when there is so much to do, sometimes we tense up, feel anxiety and all those things, and at the end, it is our health who suffer when there's so much to do and very less time to rest. So the same thing can be with money, If we keep thinking about money, 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 and our mind can be overloaded. But when we give it out to God, God, this is for you. Shh, that's just like taking an air out of, it's kind of a deflated. It's releasing our pressure out. So, in a Christian life, or as for a church, or for a Christian life, for individual or for personal, there's something which we need to know is that, there are some three factors which can destroy church, our personal Christian walk of life. So these are the three things which we always have to be careful about. Is one, money. Money can destroy church. Money can destroy relationship. Money can destroy friendship, relationship, and a family. Money. The way you handle money will affect church, your family, and your relationship. And the next is power. Power destroys churches. I've seen so many churches have been fighting for power. Even in the house, if you keep fighting over power, who is the head of this house? You know, if there is no mutual understanding between the spouse, you know, it can't work. Even in a family, in a church, in a relationship, that is what we need to know. And the third one is sex. So this is one area. As a church, as an individual, we need to know that where is my boundary? Where am I going? Where am I leading? So it's very difficult to be alert about these three things: money, power, and sex. Where do I stand? You know, is all these three are more important than God in my life? If these are the three things that drives our life, we may not be able to have a healthy, spiritual, filled life or church. So, you know, giving out, giving time, money to God and people can help us release ourselves from that kind of a pressure that, you know, that can be upon us. Okay, thank you.